Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of Tourismus Namibia, our weekly show that we have been bringing you for a while now. Today is bitterly cold in Windhoek, so welcome to the south that is even colder, I suppose, because we've been given warnings for the deep south of Namibia. I suppose when you're looking from Europe, you're probably sitting there and wondering, how can it be so cold in Africa? Well, come here and find out. You'll find out quickly, make no mistake. You always have people coming here thinking it's warm Africa, but Africa does have times when it becomes very cold. Once again, welcome. My name is Frank Steffen. I'm the editor of Tourismus Namibia and obviously of the German newspaper Allgemeine Zeitung. But as always, we would like to take you through a couple of items. We've got news under topics, we've got destinations once more, and I think we've got an interesting interview under To the Point. So before we go there, let's just have a look at the marketplace. Yes, and some people might not like me for it, but our first topic is COVID-19. People always seem to think that when you talk about COVID-19, you seem to sort of do it on a negative basis. No, it's nothing to do with that. I feel this has a relevance to our tourism industry because the faster we get it in order and the faster we get our stuff sorted out, the faster we can return back to a system where we can allow normal tourism into our country. So it has been described as a humanitarian crisis, and for sure, if you live here, you surely know that it is. People are dying left, right, and center. It's really not a good time for Namibia at the moment. And once again, I need to reiterate, it's not so much in the rural areas, it is really in the towns and where you've got lots of people together. So there has been an appeal by quite a number of German doctors and politicians and professors and influential people of all types. Almost 250 people that signed an appeal to the German government just a few days ago. But even before that came to be, the German government already started to put together a package trying to assist Namibia. So we will apparently see 3 of these consignments. I'm not sure whether it will always be Antonov, but anyway, this one was a huge plane. And they landed at Hosea Kutako on Thursday, and they brought a donation from Germany, with 500,000 FFP2 face masks, 300,000 gowns and whatever, and 20,000 protective goggles, 60 care beds, and 40,000 antigen tests. But there's more to come. This is really small fry as compared to what the Ambassador Beck here, Herbert Beck, he's the one in the middle, promised. And the other persons that you see there are obviously our Minister of Foreign Affairs, that's Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah. And then on the right-hand side, you see the Ambassador for the European Commission in Namibia, and that is Seneca Antila. So anyway, there's more to come, I'm sure. At the moment, that is what we have. But we will bring you updates continuously. And by the way, the Health Minister, Dr. Kalumbi Shangula, called it an emotional moment, and I can imagine that. No matter what you do, you might criticize the government for what they've done or not done. It's up to you. It's not for me to decide. But one thing that I'm very sure of these days is that Dr. Shangula is seriously busy. And it's not only busy, he's really trying his utmost best to get this whole thing under control. So I can imagine that for him it was quite an emotional moment to receive additional aid from overseas and something touchable, something that he can make use of. So let's wish him well, let's wish his team well, because at the end of the day, this stuff is really to the benefit of our frontline workers, and I think they need a lot of additional support from all of us. Right, up next we've got Recon Africa. Recon Africa is obviously the Canadian gas and oil exploration company, Reconnaissance Energy Africa, that has been, we spoke a lot about them in the past, and so just about a week ago, a bit more than a week ago, Viceroy, it's a company that specializes on finding weak spots on companies on the stock exchange, maintaining to have found the big wealth for everybody, and then possibly actually posing a risk to everybody. And so Viceroy, they've got an investigative team, and they've been known to do some major and big work. And so I spoke to Viceroy now and said, but what is it? Why is it that you think that these the fines that have been announced so gladly by Recon Africa and even our Namibian government, why do you think are they imaginary? Is there something to it or not? And it was actually quite funny how he started off laughing. He said, you know what, it's the smallest company that I ever investigated, and it's resulted in the largest amount of hate mail that I've ever received. And as far as he's concerned, and I'm not giving his name out now because I'm not quite sure yet whether he wants to be named. We've, by the way, because there's so much unclear about this whole thing, I've actually invited him to attend or to be a guest at one of our other shows, Africa Good Morning, which is another NMH live broadcast, which we always bring you in the morning at 7 o'clock. And he called this whole deal, and he said it's for him it's just another capitalized punishment, another form of colonialism. And what you see there on the screen is the Okavango, the actual river plain, and just in the back there you can actually see the rig, the oil rig. So this thing is no more than 1 kilometer away from our underwater systems. Anyway, and so the problem is that a week ago the EIA was for the seismic assessment of that area was approved, and in that EIA, Recon Africa actually says this exercise of doing a seismic assessment is done in order, and I quote, to procure unconventional oil in the delta. Now, unconventional oil, we've spoken about it so often, that is fracking. Whether we like it or not, that is what it is. And so the question is, why was it approved by the Environmental Commissioner, who until today has as yet not come forward with any explanation, written in declaration, whatever, motivation, whatever you want to call it. Media has no access to that. So we don't know on what he bases his decision. And initially, the state always spoke of 2 boreholes, but suddenly we are in possession of documents, and Recon Africa makes it quite clear that they would want to drill 6 holes. And the government has been assuring us, first it was supposed to be 2, then it was 3, now it is 4, and the 4th one is going to start in November. And in the meantime, for the seismic exercise, they employ seismic equipment that is really suited for a depth of up to 2,000 meters, while the business plan speaks of wells being found at a depth of 3,500 meters. So, it all does not make sense, and that's why I've invited Viceroy to come and talk to us on Africa Good Morning. Now, here's the clue. Viceroy immediately said yes, while Recon Africa and our Namibian government have avoided the Namibian press so far, except for NBC television, which has aired pre-recorded interviews, but then you're not allowed to ask any questions. So it's all not quite the way that it should be, and there are lots of angles, and like I said, Viceroy has actually pointed to this whole thing saying, nope, it's a dud, this is a dead-born child, and they're seriously accusing Recon Africa of falsifying or presenting stuff as facts which are not based on fact, because one of their biggest problems is that Recon Africa to this day has not released any detail of what they found at their exploration boreholes. And apart from that, they certainly didn't go down to 3,500 meters. So to say that they've already found petrol or petroleum, that seems a bit far-fetched. And then there's obviously the other angle, our elephants. There's always been the big worry that in that area the elephants might have a problem with the presence of oil rigs, especially if there was fracking. And so it was quite funny to see that Recon Africa actually says, no, not to worry. We will not disturb the elephants. Now, this is the biggest clue. Initially, they said there is no ecologically sensitive area. So if there are no elephants and no ecology of note, why would you then suddenly now say, but don't worry, we will not disturb the elephants? Because last time I remember at the Thule meeting, they said there are no elephants. Then they say, no, but don't worry, we won't work at night because we know that elephants communicate at night. I mean, this is utter nonsense. The fact is that elephants only sleep for 2 hours anyway, and they sometimes do so even during the day. So they communicate all the time. And the statements made by Recon Africa are never backed by scientific evidence. So nowhere do they refer back to study so-and-so of Dr. or Professor so-and-so that said anything about this sort of statement that they are making now. And let's face it, the elephants do communicate, very similar to whales, in fact. It's done over a gland, and where they have seismic wavelengths giving out that they're communicating with. Now, here's the funny part. Recon Africa reckons they do it on a seismic wavelength that is not disturbing to the elephants. They won't know it because they are communicating on another wavelength. I mean, it starts coming close to being ridiculous. And the fact is that these animals need to communicate because they need to advise amongst each other about dangers, food availability, water availability. They search for partners in that way, and they communicate with other herds in that way. So this is an ongoing process. It's not something that just happens once in a while. So yeah, but enough of Recon Africa. If you want to listen in to Africa Good Morning. Like I said, each morning at 7 o'clock it starts. It's a show that is presented by NMH, and just look on Facebook for Africa Good Morning. We will have Viceroy there, and I'm busy talking to another person that we had there in the past who might have interest to speak to us as well. Right, but that's enough. You may remember that last time I showed you that little video of the kudu that was competing for biscuits with the farmer at the table. So I decided maybe we want to have a look at something similar once again.
You got a friend in me. You got troubles. I got them too. There isn't anything I wouldn't do for you. We stick together, see it through. You got a friend in me. Wish you got a friend in me. Some of the folks might be a little bit smarter than I am, bigger, stronger too. Maybe none of them will ever love you the way I do. Just me and you, girl, as the years go by. Friendship will never die. You're gonna see it's our destiny. You got a friend in me. Yes, you got a friend in me. Yes, you got a friend in me.
Yeah, it's quite funny how we as children were always told that African elephants will never get used to humans in the way that Indian elephants do. I seem to agree to some extent still, But it's always funny how you do see that quite a number of African elephants actually are getting quite close to humans and accustomed to them. And I mean, that video is just something else to see. I'm sure that dog was never in danger, that's for sure. So, right, those are topics for today. Up next, we've got destinations. Welcome back. Yeah, as we always do on the show, we bring you different destinations, and obviously, like I've started a while ago, I rely on my colleagues to actually bring me different ideas instead of me always bringing just the same stories over and over again. And so Steffi Balzar works for the Allgemeine Zeitung, and she decided to take the simple route. She actually visited her dad, Wolfgang Balzar, who's of Thule, and Hotel Thule is quite well known in Windhoek. I've indicated, I hope you can see it on your screens. It's right on the right-hand side. You see a blue little dot there. So that is where Hotel Thule is. It's in Klein Windhoek, right on top of the hill. The street that you see on the left-hand side there, that is the Nelson Mandela Avenue. So, and those flats that you can see, those red rooftops, that's Lalapanzi, or close to Lalapanzi. So you have more or less an idea of where it is. It's as you go over to Eros. So, but Steffi actually spoke to her dad, like I said, Wolfgang Balzar. He's the manager of Hotel Thule. We had him on the show as a guest before, and she just prepared this little video clip for us.
Good morning, everybody. Let me introduce you Hotel Thule to you. The building was built 1960 by Mr. Lafrens. This was a private mansion. About 16 years ago, it was bought by Mr. Egera and then transferred into a hotel. Our location is very attractive with the best view in town. We've got an a la carte restaurant as well as a terrace with also the view very attractive. We've got 25 rooms, accommodation rooms, and then obviously we can also offer conferences and functions. Some of our facilities we can offer is a private pool. We obviously also have room service, and then the on the edge restaurant we cater like an upmarket nouvelle cuisine, and on the terrace it's a little bit more informal. Now as I've mentioned before, our location is really attractive. We've got a very good view. Due to the fact that we are a small establishment, we believe and can cater a very personal service. So our guests always say they are so glad to come home again, back to Hotel Thule. So this is a home from home situation, and in our days nowadays that is a very attractive feature.
Well, I've been there many times, and I tell you what, it's one of the nicest spots that we've got in Windhoek, and their food is very good to boot, and their service is very good. And I'm not saying this because it's the show. Just remember, these things, when we bring them to you, it's not paid advertising. We're really just telling you about different ideas, different scenarios, different places you can visit or stay at. So this is not paid advertising. If I tell you it's a nice spot to be, believe me, it is. Quite apart from the view, Wolfgang himself is always a very pleasant person to have as a host. And yeah, many people actually go to Hotel Thule to have workshops there and family gatherings or even weddings, whatever you have. So speak to them if you feel that you're looking for a nice venue within town. And being up on that hill, they're not far from where I'm sitting right now. It also allows you to be still somehow in center of town, and yet you're far enough not to be disturbed by any noise pollution and stuff like that. So really go there, even if you just go for a sundowner. Right, that's Hotel Thule, and then you will remember recently we had Tennis Kilda, who gave us the opportunity to join him on one of his 4x4 trips into the dunes, where he's come up with that new concept of taking visitors out into the dune belts with his own car, and so just to allow you to experience that whole thing. So what he's now done, I invited him to always send me some material if he has new exciting stuff that he's experiencing. And I think certainly he was experiencing it in this past week. This is obviously the boat in which one of the boats, I suppose, in which he takes you out to sea. And you can... They call it dolphin and seal sailing cruise, but obviously it's not only dolphins and seals, it's really the whole experience. And you find their offices in town on the map that is coming up here. You see on the right-hand side, the red spot, that is where their offices are. If I remember correctly, it's on 12th Street. And but then obviously they've got their at the quay on the left-hand side there, Catamaran cruises. But let's have a look at what he provided us with.
Hi, this is Jens Kilder of Catamaran Charters. Yes, over the past week we've had a whale of a time with the humpback whales in the Bay of Walfish Bay, so to speak. On any given morning, we've had up to 15 whales jumping about on our daily morning cruises. By the way, the humpback whales need to reach pretty much their top speed of 30 kilometers an hour to clear the water like that. Why they do that? That's still a bit of a mystery. Might have to do with communication and attracting other whales, but maybe it's just out of sheer joyfulness. So in this crazy world, nature at least is still continuing as normal, being glorious.
Yeah, it's something that you should ideally plan or add to your bucket list, and make sure that you have some time and visit Old Tiens and his team and partake in an experience like that. I think it's second to none, that's for sure. Well, those are our destinations for today. Up next, we've got To the Point. Yep, welcome back. And I don't know who of you are aware of the fact that similar to what you find in the south, where you've got these transnational parks as you go down to South Africa, or for that matter, if you look up at Kaza as you go forward towards Zimbabwe and Botswana, Angola, and so on, up in the northeast. Up in the northwest, we've got a park called Skiona. And I've taken out a little picture just to make you understand. Now, Skiona is a bit of a word play on Skeleton Coast and the Iona National Park in Angola. And so clearly this is just another transnational park that is for you to enjoy. But the big thing always about those areas, especially Skiona, as you go up Skeleton Coast and so on, invariably you find that you're out in between of nowhere, and you can't communicate properly because there certainly is no cell connectivity on that side. And so what happened is Yolanda Nell now spoke to Gerd Werner, and he's of QCon, and he spoke to her about Tubi, satellite broadband, Tubi. And so making sure that you've always got internet access, but have a listen yourself.
Good morning, viewers. Today I'm talking to Gerard, and he's from QCon. Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure, you're welcome.
Can you quickly tell us, you created the Tubi, can you tell us what that is exactly?
The Tubi is actually a satellite service which is reliable, it is affordable, where previously, especially satellite services, the pricing was outrageous and nobody could afford it. This provides you with an internet service at any time, internet, Wi-Fi, at places where there's no communication coverage.
You just answered my next question as to why this is so important, but you also had a project up north, and the results were fantastic. Can you tell us about that?
We got a project which is Siona, which basically is for the communities right up north, in the northern parts of Namibia, where they want to give the community a chance to physically assist them with the managing of game life and also cattle and so on. And I don't know if you people know marine floors, there's no communication, there's no power, there's actually nothing. So for them, it's the first time where they can go to a central point around marine floors. There's an office which suddenly offers them internet, there's a camera, there's everything where people even from Windhoek can monitor what's happening there, but the locals suddenly can make a WhatsApp call, they can physically go onto the internet, they can see what's happening, and they can see what's happening on the Siona project.
You just showed me a WhatsApp or a message before we started the interview. That is amazing to see. They are so ecstatic about being able to communicate.
Yeah, you must remember, for us, as we're sitting here, we got everything. We got WhatsApp, we got Facebook, we got telephone service. Up there, they got nothing. So suddenly they're in reach where they can go onto the internet, they can speak to people over something through the air, and they connected. They connected. You know, there's nothing like being off the map.
What makes the Tubi so unique?
The new product, the Epic product, actually makes that you can get. It's a design solution for you. It gives you certain bandwidth packages, and it gives you basically, it's affordable packages which you can set up as what your needs are. And it gives you a bandwidth per day. You will physically have bandwidth available. When that bandwidth is used up, it goes slower, but you never totally cut off. And by midnight, it physically resets, and then the counter starts for the new day. But from midnight until 6 o'clock, any data that's sent or received is basically free. So your counter only starts again at 6 o'clock in the morning. So it gives you basically data and Wi-Fi and all those services at the tip of your finger.
And this was also tested now during the ultra marathon in the desert.
Yes, those people, they were moving all the way from Sossusvlei to Irindi, and they were running basically during the day. Every night they had to make a backup. They spoke to their families, they spoke to the sponsors, and so on. And they physically gave some photo shootage as what they were running and so on. So it didn't matter where they were camping. They had a portable solution which they put onto the table. It's 60 centimeters by 60 centimeters. They had it in the car, they put it up. It's so easy, you can put it up by yourself. You don't need a technical expert. You physically put it up, you move it, you turn it, it connects, and you connect it.
Gerard, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for telling us your story.
Pleasure, you're always welcome.
Viewers, we'll be back shortly.
It's to be quite correct, it's actually Gerhard Werner. He's a German guy. I know him, I know him because he used to work for Telecom Namibia for years, and I know him to be a very able technician. So I'm so glad to have somebody like him come up with new ideas such as this. And by the way, if they spoke of those people we're talking of are the Ovahimbas. And like many of our folk who are out there, they would obviously like to become part of the world. And so if you go to Koukerveld, for us it's always nice. We go as visitors. For them, it's a hard time to remain connected, to be in touch with the world outside. And whether we like it or not, they would not always want to remain in their traditional state as people would like to believe. They too want to join the world and have better education, be better connected, have more access to modern amenities which we take for granted. So I think it's just no more than fair for them to have that sort of access, and I wish them well. Okay, and then finally, something that we did some time ago, and which I always said I would do every now and then again. We've again included a new edition of Namibia sonder Grense. And if you excuse me, I will turn over into Afrikaans, because obviously this is more dedicated to our Afrikaans viewership. So baie welkom. Dis nie iets wat ons elke dag doen nie, maar ek hoop tog u geniet hierdie klein klip wat Christine Creer net weer eens vir ons voorberei het. Geniet dit.
Hallo en welkom. In vandag se episode van Namibië sonder Grense is ons terug in Amerika en ons gesels met Tonya Rowerda wat in 'n klein dorpie in Virginia au pair. Sy gaan ons ook meer vertel van haar reise na Nashville en New York. Soos julle weet, woon ek in Houston en my verloofde speel professioneel rugby hier. Sy span het verlede naweek hulle laaste tuiswedstryd van die seisoen gespeel en ek moet sê, deur die loop van die jaar was hulle tuiswedstryde 'n hoogtepunt vir my gewees. Dit is ongelooflik om te sien hoeveel Amerikaners opdaag en wat 'n atmosfeer hulle skep, veral omdat rugby hier nog relatief nuut is. Hulle het iets wat hulle noem tailgate, waar hulle 3 ure voor die wedstryd begin in die stadion se parkeerarea kos maak en kuier tot die wedstryd begin. Maar hier is 'n kort video om vir julle te wys hoe rugby hier in Amerika lyk.
ek is Tonya Raverda en ek is gebore in Windhoek, Namibië. In Oktober 2020 het ek 'n groot besluit gemaak om te gaan au pair in Amerika en my hele lewe agter te laat. Ek het vir 5 jaar by 'n wonderlike kleuterskool gewerk, Pikkie Paradys, en ek my liefde en passie vir kinders net 'n stapie verder gevat. In Februarie 2021 het ek verhuis na my tydelike huis in Amerika, in 'n staat Virginia, in 'n klein dorpie Aldi, is waar ek tans woon by 'n pragtige familie met 3 baie oulike kinders. Was dit 'n maklike keuse? Glad nie. Was dit die beste keuse vir my? Verseker. Om te au pair was nog altyd my droom. Om te sien hoe Amerikaners hulle kinders grootmaak en om by 'n ander familie te woon, anders as my eie, was tot dusver nog net 'n wonderlike tyd. Alles hier is anders. Die mense, die kos, die kultuur en die lysie gaan aan. Ek staan steeds party daarop en dit voel regtig soos een groot droom. Jy bestel inkopies aanlyn en binne 24 uur lewer hulle dit buite jou deur af. Om eerlik te wees, weet ek nie eens meer hoe die binnekant van 'n winkel lyk nie. Ek verlang my mense, die natuur, die plaas en genade, nie eens om te praat oor 'n behoorlike braai of biltong of droewors of nog beter 'n garagebaan nie. 'n maand na ek in Amerika gekom het ek Nashville toe gegaan vir die tweede keer en dit het weer soos die eerste keer gevoel. Nashville is geken as the city of music. In elke liewe kroeg sing een persoon beter as die ander. Die kroegte is in downtown Nashville of dit is hoe die mense dit ken. Maar ek sê weer, die een persoon sing beter as die ander. Ek was New York toe en ek het gevoel asof ek in 'n fliek was. Alles wat ek in flieks gesien het, het ek eerstehands beleef. New York is definitief 'n stad wat nie slaap nie. Ek myself oor 'n mik geloop, maar dit was regtig 'n droom wat waar geword het. Jy ry met 'n trein van die een plek na 'n ander, jy eet kos, jy eet puddings, dis regtig waar, dit raak net beter. New York is regtig 'n stad wat 24 uur, 7 dae 'n week besig is en 3 dae vakansie was behoorlik genoeg vir my gewees. COVID hier is onder beheer, so ons hoef nie meer maskers te dra nie en jy mag weer reis. Daar is winkels wat dit nog vereis vir jou om 'n masker te dra, maar as jy jou inentings het, kan jy 95% normaal funksioneer. Ek het regtig die tyd van my lewe, maar my hart sal vir altyd aan ons mooie land Namibië hoort.
Baie dankie aan almal wat gekyk het en 'n spesiale dankie aan almal wat ons gekontak het met name van Namibiërs in die buiteland. As daar nog van julle is wat weet van Namibiërs wat oor see bly en werk, los asseblief hulle name in die comments, stuur vir my 'n boodskap op Facebook of stuur vir my 'n e-pos na christine@rivekane.com.na.
Small misunderstanding almost. Yeah, I was just going to explain to Matthias that we're not quite at the end yet. Anyway, yeah, we are actually at the end, but I at least wanted to greet you and say thank you for watching the show, and hope you have a nice weekend and remain safe. Just remember that if you're a Namibian, it's really your responsibility to look after yourself. Government can't do it all for you. Get vaccinated. Make sure that you you maintain your distance to other people, and there should be no need to tell you to wash hands. It's something that I was taught when I was a small boy. So keep well. Have a nice weekend, as said, and I hope to see you next week again. Until then, remain safe.
If you're feeling how I'm feeling and you know I won't stop, all we gotta do is take our love to the top. If I got it and you want it and you'll never let it drop, all we gotta do is take our love to the top. I will ride for you, baby, even die for you. When I'm loving you, but my heart don't stop.